You know that humble box of baking soda sitting in your kitchen? Well, it holds a surprising amount of power. We use it for baking, for cleaning, for deodorizing, but what about for our health? We're going to dive right in because this super common household item can be both a powerful remedy and, if you use it wrong, a real problem. So what's the real story here? Is baking soda a helpful ally, or is it something we should actually be pretty wary of? The answer, as you're about to see, is, well, it's a bit of both. And knowing the difference is absolutely critical. First off, what even is baking soda? Chemically, it's sodium bicarbonate. But what's really wild is that your own body makes this stuff. Yep, your pancreas is producing it every single day to play a huge role in your digestion. How crazy is that? So here's our game plan. We'll start with how it works naturally inside your body, then we'll get into the potential health benefits, followed by the critical warnings you really need to hear. After that, we'll look at some surprising household hacks before we wrap it all up with the golden rules for using it safely. Okay, let's kick things off with how baking soda works inside you totally naturally without you ever having to open that box. So your stomach is incredibly acidic, right? Well, when food moves from there into your small intestine, your pancreas jumps into action. It releases sodium bicarbonate to neutralize all that acid. This creates the perfect environment for your enzymes to get to work digesting fats and other foods. I mean, without this process, your digestion would just grind to a halt. Knowing its natural job, it kind of makes sense that people have figured out other ways to use it for their health. So let's take a look at some of those potential benefits. And the list is pretty impressive. It can give you temporary relief from acid reflux, it can help your oral health by neutralizing acid in your mouth, and it can even support your kidneys by reducing their acid load. And then there's relief from things like gout, kidney stones, and UTIs. Oh, and it's also known to give athletes a surprising little edge. So how exactly does it help athletes? Well, you know that burning feeling you get in your muscles during a really intense workout? That's lactic acid building up. A little bit of baking soda beforehand can help neutralize that acid, which might just let you push harder, for longer, and maybe squeeze out a few more reps. It's kind of like an old-school performance hack. And this same idea applies to other acid-related problems. Things like gout and certain types of kidney stones, they're caused by a buildup of uric acid crystals. Since uric acid dissolves in alkaline solutions like baking soda, it can help manage these really painful conditions by temporarily changing the body's pH. Okay, we've talked about all the good stuff. Now for what is easily the most important part of this whole explainer, the critical warnings. Seriously, pay close attention because this is where baking soda can shift from a helper to a potential poison if it's used the wrong way. Now, this is a distinction that people get wrong all the time. Indigestion, that feeling like food is just sitting like a brick in your stomach, is often a sign of too little stomach acid. Adding baking soda is the last thing you want to do. It'll just make it worse. On the other hand, acid reflux, that burning sensation, can be temporarily soothed by a little baking soda. But here's the catch. The root cause can still be low stomach acid. And if you get into the habit of using it all the time, you risk getting caught in this downward spiral. You're constantly neutralizing your stomach acid, right? Well, that means you can't properly digest protein or absorb crucial minerals and B12. And even worse, you're basically rolling out the welcome mat for harmful bacteria and pathogens in your food to survive and cause all sorts of problems. I want you to let this sink in. Your stomach is supposed to be as acidic as battery acid, and there's a very good reason for that. That extreme environment is your body's first line of defense. It just obliterates microbes, and it's absolutely essential for breaking down your food. So, messing with that delicate balance long term, well, it's just a recipe for disaster. All right, enough of the heavy stuff. Let's step away from actually eating it and look at some other clever and much safer ways you can use baking soda around the house. This is a classic home remedy, right? But does it actually work? Well, the answer is yes and no. It completely depends on what bit you. And here's the simple science behind it. Baking soda is a base. It's alkaline, so it neutralizes acid. Bee stings and fire ant bites, their venom is acidic, so a paste of baking soda and water can bring real relief. But wasp and spider venom, that's alkaline. Adding more alkaline will only make it hurt worse. For something like a wasp sting, you'd actually want to use the opposite, something acidic, like vinegar. Okay, here's a fun and kind of gruesome fact for you. If you mix baking soda with sugar, cockroaches will eat it. The sugar is the bait, of course, but the baking soda then reacts inside their digestive system, producing a ton of carbon dioxide gas that they have no way to expel. It's a surprisingly effective, non-toxic way to deal with pests. And we can't forget the most famous use of them all. An open box sitting in the fridge absorbs all those stray food odors, keeping everything inside smelling fresh. It's a simple, effective classic for a reason. So, after all that, what are the key takeaways? Let's boil everything down into a few golden rules for using baking soda safely and effectively. Okay, listen up. Use it for temporary relief only. Never, ever for that heavy brick in the stomach feeling of indigestion. And please absolutely never drink it mixed with an acid like vinegar or lemon juice. The reaction creates a massive amount of gas right in your stomach. It is not a long-term fix. But as a little bonus, it can be useful as a quick mouth rinse to neutralize acid after you've had something sugary. If you remember just one thing from all this, let it be this direct quote from our source material. Chronic, long-term use is where the real danger is. You have to respect the power of your stomach acid and just don't get into the habit of constantly neutralizing it. So there you have it. It's so much more than just a baking ingredient or a cleaning scrub, isn't it? It's a potent chemical that has the power to both help and to harm. Now that you know the difference, how are you going to look at that familiar little box from now on?